Oh, don't hold off. Good evening. The San Dimas City Council and Housing Authority meeting for Tuesday, October 24th will come to order. Please rise and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a presentation this evening from the Los Angeles Center of Alcohol and Drug Abuse, La Cata, their quarterly update.
Yes, hi. Good evening, Mayor, and members of the City Council and staff and members of the public. At the September 12, 2023 council meeting, council requested an update from the Los Angeles Center for Alcohol and Drug Abuse, LA CADA. So this presentation is in response to that. On March 15th, the city entered into an agreement with LA CADA for contract services for our homeless outreach services. They started on April 17th, and since then, staff has been very pleased with the efforts being made by LA CADA. They have provided staff with weekly reports and keep in constant communication with us daily in real time with the live text thread. And this is on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We have quarterly meetings with housing staff, code compliance staff, executive management, LA CADA staff, and the sheriff CAT team. So LA CADA will do the presentation, and just want to introduce Joshua Heinzman, who's the Director of Homeless Services, William Gray, who's the Program Manager of Homeless Services, and Juan Canazales, Program Coordinator.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. As Lily mentioned, my name is Joshua Heinzman. I'm our Director of Homeless Services for LA CADA. And then this is William Gray. He's our Program Manager. And then this is Juan. You've probably seen out and about in the city working with the sheriff's deputies and then on his own with his partner, Selena Rojas. So this is our update for the council and for members of the public. So the service is actually officially launched on April 17th of this year. You've already met the team. Selena Rojas is not here, but you've got Juan. He's spearheading services as boots on the ground. To give you an idea of sort of what's been going on, I know we talked a lot at the first meeting when I presented sort of what our philosophical approach was to outreach services. And sort of what we could bring to the city of San Dimas in assisting the unhoused. So since we've been out here, Juan and Selena have been working to build trust with persons experiencing homelessness. What we know is that folks out on the streets require consistent engagement. And so from inception, that really becomes the initial priority because we need to get to know the folks that are out here in order for them to trust us and to be able to accept services. In collaboration with city staff and the sheriff's department, we've learned about your city's homeless and transient hotspots, and thus becoming familiar where outreach efforts need to be focused and emphasized. We are prompt in responding to city referrals that way we can provide responsive service within the city. Some of the services that are being provided right now to individuals who are willing to accept them is primarily housing navigation is the focus. We want to get people housed. What that looks like is different for each individual. Benefits procurement, linkage to medical and mental health services, care coordination, and that's usually done with partnering agencies and other community-based organization, and family reunification. When we coordinate our efforts with we've coordinated efforts with city staff on newer recurring encampments requiring cleanup. For example, earlier this week, city staff made a referral for us to what appeared may have been a new encampment or a pop-up in a recurring location. And so Juan immediately responded when he got to the encampment. There were no individuals there. It happened to be on state property, specifically off one of the freeways, so managed by Caltrans. And part of the coordination that we do is sort of immediately sending pictures on the thread that Lily had mentioned. The response is like, all right, we get out there, we show you what's going on. There wasn't anyone around. And now from the city manager's office side, they're contacting Caltrans to be able to come out and clean it up. And those coordinated efforts so far have been very, very effective in my opinion, and from what I'm hearing from Lily and staff. Unfortunately, the video here does not work, so I've got to click through it. I'll let Juan go and talk about this individual. What I will say before he starts talking is this individual, you may or may not have seen him, but as you exit here, there is a bench to the left, and that gentleman had been there frequently off and on for a period of time, so this success story is related to him, and if you will notice, he is not there tonight, and there's a reason for that.
Hello, council members. I'm going to be talking about the gentleman that would sleep outside of City Hall. We encountered him 4 times. The first time that we encountered him, we were trying to build rapport. We were just trying to get to know him, try to get to know his background. He was very hesitant on trying to share information because it was our first time talking to him, which is normal. So the second time that we encountered him, he did share more. He said that he was from San Diego, that he had family in San Diego, and that he would have liked to go back to San Diego. Okay, so I told him, sounds good. Let me coordinate a plan for you. Let's make sure that you're gonna get connected to resources out there as well. I did my part. We have access to certain systems, and we found out that his Medi-Cal was from San Diego County. I said, okay, sounds good. Because for that, we were able to coordinate with the Good Day Center in San Diego. We did a care coordination where we set up an appointment just for him to do an intake. We actually took him yesterday in the morning. We were able to find him. We were able to encounter him, and I said, "Hey, you ready to go today?" Yes. It was a drive. We bought him breakfast. We just made sure that he was comfortable, and he was happy. As soon as we got there, the first thing he said, "Thank you, Juan. Thank you for bringing me back home." With that being said, I felt great. I felt tap on the back. I'm like, job well done. We took him inside the center. He had an intake of 40 minutes. We spoke to the case manager, told us what was her plan, and she was going to get in contact with his family as well. So it was care coordination, family reunification, and he was going to get the proper service and resources that he needed. He had been here since July. He mentioned he was lost. So we did our part. We got him back to his hometown and to resources that he's gonna be happy with and be well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so something important, I think, from my perspective also as an agency is, as he talked about, my apologies. Something I think that's important to recognize there in that situation is that there really isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. And rather than just put this gentleman on the Amtrak or on a bus down to San Diego to get him out of the city, the team drove him down there. We didn't just leave him with another provider. We sat through the intake process to make sure he was comfortable so that we know it would be successful. They developed a plan, and now this gentleman is in a bed. rather than, being dumped off somewhere. And that's something I know we discussed when I was here first, and that's sort of, and I think you, council member, were asking me some very, very pointed questions about it. And that's sort of the difference between how we do business and getting folks, because we want to be successful so they do not come back. Like, we want them to be accessing the services they need, and so this is a great example, and I know there will be more to come. In terms of some sort of raw data since we've started, so since 4/17 until 10/20, so last Friday, we have had roughly 400 encounters of individuals. Out of those encounters, 137 were first time, meaning those were 137 individuals that we had met for the first time. And then there were 261 follow-ups. So like Juan mentioned, it took 4 encounters with this gentleman for us to get him placed. And so that gives you an idea of, it doesn't always happen on the first time. With him, it took 4 encounters for us to be able to get him off the bench here in front of your city hall. In terms of the services that we've provided, if you look on the left-hand side, that number is really high. The first 2 numbers the first 2 bars are really high because it's related to building trust and rapport and snack packs. So food and snacks and water goes a long way with someone who's out on the street, and that's typically our first way of sort of getting in and getting to know them. And then as you move down the line, we're, like I said, doing benefits assistance, care coordination. We linked 7 individuals to substance use disorder treatment. It was not with us, and I know I believe, discussed this in the first time about our continuum of care. The individuals that were here that accepted services for substance misuse treatment were more comfortable staying locally. And so what that looked like is that they went to American Recovery Center, and I believe the females went to Prototypes. So their comfort level was better for them to stay local than for us to take them out of an area where they might not be successful because they're not comfortable with the geographic area. There's a decent amount of housing navigation that started. Again, people have to trust us when you access the homeless management information system. There's a lot of data that's in there about people. And if they're not trusting of you, they're not going to want to have us see all of that data that's in there about them. So to see the 8 and 34 on first time and follow-up is fantastic. We have some decent numbers on interim housing, 13 and 7 based off of the first times and then follow-up engagements. What the interim housing placement looks like is it might be an individual that gets into like an unpaid sober living type situation or an emergency shelter. So we've been able to get those folks off the streets. There's been some medical linkage, a little bit of mental health linkage, and then a lot of transportation. And the reason why to the far right you see such high numbers there is sort of everything in the middle requires transportation to be able to facilitate those services. And so that's kind of a snapshot of where we're at in the city right now, and things are, by all appearances, going well. The city, we had our first care coordination meeting, and I would like to highlight, to the city manager's credit, the sheriff's department was there, code enforcement was there, multiple city departments were there, and I think that really demonstrates the commitment that your city has, and specifically coming from the city manager's office, of like how we can work collaboratively to address the needs of San Dimas's unhoused population. And now for questions.
John?
Yeah, I had a question just on that last slide. You can go back to it maybe. On the housing navigation, so I'm looking at those numbers, 8 and 34. Is that telling us that 8 individuals got into the navigation process on the very first encounter, or can you explain that a little bit?
So housing navigation, what it is it's 8 and 34 like units of service. So what that looks like is housing navigation, the HMIS system or Clarity that the county has set up to work, to get people placed. There's a lot of steps in that process. Sometimes it's helping get someone document ready. So One of those services might mean we're able to get them their ID and their social security card, and that's one unit of service that you'll see on there. Other times, a unit of service might be initially entering them into that system, and there's an acuity score, basically, and so that's another unit of service, too. Like, we will be able to sit down, ask the questions that gauge their homelessness acuity. So that's what you're seeing there. There's a lot of different types of service that can be done that's considered housing navigation. In addition to that, when we are, when we find someone that has a voucher, and that's the ideal thing, is to find someone that has a voucher and be able to connect them, doing that care coordination is also housing navigation.
And so
It's not
necessarily people being placed in housing.
exactly.
But are any of those in that particular category, housing navigation, the act of being placed in housing, or is that over in the interim housing
Yes,
part?
so really good question. So the interim housing numbers, those are, it's not necessarily duplicative, but the interim housing, all of those individuals that were housed received housing navigation, which falls into the housing navigation numbers. So those housing navigation services did end up with your 13 and 7 for individuals that were placed in interim housing.
I just really want to thank you for coming tonight and presenting this to the public. It's something that is of interest, and thank the city manager, Lily, the other people who are involved with staff for making this happen. And the service you're providing is really paying off, in my opinion. So thanks a lot for coming, and thanks to Juan and Selena for the work that they do. That's a calling, let me tell you. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. And it was unfortunate the video didn't get to show it, but I also, in terms of collaborative efforts, I know I mentioned it specifically because you're with the Sheriff's Department, but we work really well with your deputies that are out here that are assigned to the San Dimas station. And it has had very positive impact on what we're able to do, because your deputies also know the folks out here. And, unfortunately, the video, the technical hiccup, showed some of that collaboration with the Sheriff's Department that I find to be very positive. So I think it's important for y'all to hear that information too, that the deputies you have assigned that are doing a fantastic job with us as well.
How many of the people that you guys are contacting have local ties here in the city?
That's a really good question. It's not data we collect, but if that's something you're interested in, I'd have to retool how we collect some of it. It's possible. I would probably need clarity to come through Chris on specifically how you would define ties. Generally speaking, I know in other cities, it's usually like from a law enforcement side, like how much contact that they've had in a 12-month period within the city, but also did they graduate high school here? Do they have loved ones or relatives here? So depending on how you define ties, I mean, that's definitely something I can try to collect data for you.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. I think I think in the past, the Sheriff's Department did do some studies, a collection period, during the time Captain Berg was here. And there was a number of people that were experiencing homelessness here that were children of people who lived here, but had become addicted or some other type of situation. I'd be curious what that number is, because I think that also lends itself to some different conversations with regards to community support and engagement from organizations that might be able to help as well.
So I'll speak with Lily, and then we'll have to figure out internally how we can retool to collect that data, but that's definitely something we can do for you. I just couldn't give you a time frame just as
No
of
worries.
yet. Okay.
Thank you. And as Councilmember Ebner said, thank you for all the work you guys are doing, and thank you for working with the deputies, and appreciate what you did for that gentleman, and I know there's many others that you guys are working with, so thank you so much.
I echo those comments in terms of thanks. If you could you put that graph back on that was visible? I think it disappeared. I wondered if in future graphs, or even for this one, could we get a version of this that showed hours spent on these different activities? Because I think that when we're looking just at individuals, it gives the impression that you're spending most of your time on packing or giving out snack packs. And I'm guessing that things like housing navigation, although the numbers are small, those take a considerable amount of hours, and the graph might show a different distribution of how your time is spent rather than this, which is more by number rather than time spent. So it would be good to see that in addition to this if possible.
I think it's important what you highlighted. It's interesting because those numbers to the left there, a snack pack takes 30 seconds to do.
Right.
Everything in the middle is probably 90% of what our
That's
time
right.
is actually spent.
That's what I suspect as well.
Yeah. So that data, I'll be honest with you, is a little cumbersome for us to collect and would probably take more time from us being off of the street to be able to sort of quantify that for you.
I don't know if it has to be exact. It could be just like a percentage spent, right? So maybe not hours, but maybe in fact it's more like a donut graph where you're showing 5% spent on snack packs or something like that. So we could.
Is there because Juan's out on boots on the ground? Is there a specific one? Because he can give you. I mean, at least right now, if you have a specific category that you're interested in, I could have him give you a ballpark percentage.
Yeah, it's not so much that. I think it's just it's not really clear how your time is spent and then on what's actually leading to the results that you're showing. So it's more that.
All right, understood.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I just want to again point out, like everybody else said, thank you so much for everything you guys do. I think the work that you do is not only challenging, but it is the single most visible type of work that somebody can do in the community, and it's certainly appreciated by all of us, obviously, and our residents as well. So I love hearing about your success stories, and each one of those makes a huge difference, not only for the community, but for that individual as well. So it's a really special thing that you guys do, and I'm glad that you guys are here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just want to take the time to say thank you for like those kind words. And it's been a pleasure working for this city. I have created great relationships with the city manager, lately with the code enforcement department, with the sheriffs. We have created a great team. I could honestly see the difference here than from other cities, and I'm just thankful to be here and thankful to working with everyone here.
You know, I just want to echo the thoughts of my fellow councilman, but I just want to say that I'm around the city quite a bit. Juan and I have seen each other many times on their engagements. I know that I've sat probably, I'm not going to say how much time, with the young man that was sitting on the bench. We talked about a lot of things, but he was always positive about Juan and his partner, and he was always positive about our deputies. And many times I'd walk into City Hall, there'd be a deputy sitting there talking to him. There was never any type of anger. It was always, what can we do to help you? Then you talk to the deputy a little later on, he says, we're referring this to the Licata, and they're very receptive to it. And even over at the Dollar Tree, which you've probably been to more times than you want to count, but the people over there realize it, and you're absolutely right. They're suspect. They're not sure why you're there, but I've seen people willingly go with you guys, and you guys really went out of your way. But one of the things I wanted to say, and I totally agree with you, the program that you guys have put together with the city staff and the deputies is worth every penny that we're spending, because the reality is people are getting help. And for you to sit there and tell me that you guys drove down to San Diego to get this guy where he needed to be, okay, that's not to mean get him out of our area. That means get him some help. And I certainly appreciate that. And I would like to hear more and more of those type stories. Maybe Las Vegas is not the place to go, but the reality is, if these people need help, And the community appreciates what you guys are doing. And we want to, I know as a representative of the city, thank you very much. But I also want to make sure Captain Ash realizes and he passes on to his crew that we appreciate it, because I have my public works people and I have my city staff here. They know what we mean and how we appreciate it. So thank you. It's a team and you guys are putting it together. And I want to thank, Chris and Brad and the entire city staff, because they know the concerns of the community. The community is concerned. They see a new person sitting on the bench or at the bus stop. They're calling and saying, hey, can we get this guy some help, or this lady? And, they're very concerned about, the women that are in the community that are just, sacked out on a bench, but they got nowhere else to go. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Lily, that means you too. Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to oral communications. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Council on any item on this agenda or not on this agenda. Public comments will not be taken during each individual agenda item except for public hearing items. Comments on public hearing items will be heard when that item is scheduled for discussion. Under the provisions of the Brown Act, the legislative body is prohibited from engaging in discussions on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. However, your concerns may be referred to a staff or set for discussion at a later date. Each speaker will be limited to speaking once, up to 3 minutes.
The first speaker is Raymond Foster.
Sorry, Jay. She's your fellow employee.
Wait, yeah, I don't mind if Jay'd like to go first. No. Okay. Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Jay. City Council, city staff, and the community. 2026, that is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, or July 4th, 2026, will be holding its first Chamber of Commerce Mixer. We are sponsoring, as a committee, a Chamber of Commerce Mixer on January 18th, 2024, 5 p.m. at High Point Brewing Company. And the point of the mixer, of course, is to bring the business community on board and more closely involved in the planning stages of 2026. Food drive. This year, we've raised over 13 tons for military families in our community. Our next food drive is on March 9th. I really wanted to mention tonight, though, that we have developed, the St. Dimas Rotary has developed a fabulous partnership with the Veteran and Military Ministry of Holy Name of Mary. They have become really, really strong partners in both of the food drives. They are providing the transportation and a lot of the help. And now what we're doing is a lot of our children are getting service hours, and so they're helping us to coordinate that, not only through San Dimas, we got Pomona, we've got Diamond Bar, and we've got West Covina kids showing up to help, and so we got a lot of community service hours going out. But Holy Name of Mary has been very instrumental, and so I want to mention them tonight. In a few days, on November 10th, will be our third annual Marine Corps benefit dinner. Our speaker is First Sergeant Ben Holmes, a retired Marine. He lost a leg in Afghanistan to an improvised explosive device. He will receive an honorarium for speaking, but that honorarium will go to an organization that is building a veteran-adapted house for a Marine who lost 2 legs and an arm. And so you're going to hear Ben Holmes' fabulous story of resiliency, bravery, courage, and recovery, and then now he's helping another Marine along the way who's even in worse straits than he is. So now we have 3 tickets left. Last year, we had 26 veterans, 19 elected officials at this 100-person gig. I know that the mayor is going to be there, and I know our city manager is going to be there, but I have 3 tickets left. However, sponsorships and donations abound, opportunities if you're interested. And lastly, We're heading into the other part of the Rotary cycle, which is education. For about 30 years, every December, we send 2 middle schoolers to Rotary Youth Leadership Academy. It is a long weekend retreat for them. And so that happens this December. We're in the selection process. We're also now in the selection process for our teacher mini grants. Again, we've got about $250,000 invested over about 35 years in the city. And so Rotary is working on those. That's what we've got going. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Harry.
Jay.
No. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, that was the only speaker card turned in.
Oh, that's interesting. Would anyone else in the audience wish to speak to the council at this time?
Thanks, Henry. Good evening, council, mayor and council. Just like to make an announcement about 2 upcoming events for the community. We want to invite them all out. On November 4th at Horse Thief Canyon Park, we're going to have Bowser Bash. It's on Saturday. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll have vendors. We'll have some contests. We'll have games. So bring your dogs out, your companions, and we'll have a good time. December 2nd, on the first Saturday of the month, we have our holiday extravaganza, which will be downtown. It will be from 2:30 will be the start of the beginning activities. That will be in the Walker House, where we're going to have Mrs. Claus and crafts and things like that for the kids. And then it officially kicks off at 4 p.m. where we'll have our parade going into the downtown area. Followed by 6 o'clock, we'll have our tree lighting, and we have a lineup of musical guests and things like that in the downtown area. We'll do the tree lighting. It should be a lot of fun. That'll go from 4 to 9 p.m. So that's it. Just wanted to make that announcement and get the word out.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Always good to see you. Margie, you don't have anything to say today?
No, we had a great Halloween get-together the other day, thanks to Jay and his, but no, other than that, no.
Oh,
Mike.
Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak to the council at this time? Okay. All right, Jay, I have a question for you. Could you go back up to the mic?
Yes, sir.
I know you like to talk a lot, but would you give us a brief report on the spectacular or how it turned out?
It met all our expectations and then some. If anyone was able to attend.
4,000 people or so?
We estimate about 4,000 people showed up. We had the trunk or treat. Everything started at 5:30. We had the most vendors we've ever had for the trunk or treat. I think last year we had 11. This year we had 26. So that was excellent. The haunted hall, the line for that was great. The costume contest was great. We're actually going to reformat it for next year so that more people can get into the costume contest. They got stuck in the line for the trunk or treat. And even though we adjusted for the trunk or treat line, the line still extended out to 2nd Street. But so that we look at that as a success. I know that's a little bit of an issue waiting in line, but I think it was well worth it. We did not run out of candy. Everyone brought enough candy, so it was a success.
And we had much better weather.
Yes, we did. It did not rain. Yeah, no rain, so that was good.
Thank you and your staff and all the people, all the volunteers that cooperated and put it together. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was great to be part of that community event, and it truly is a community event because the community comes out and contributes to the trunk or treat, so it was a lot of fun.
Super. Thank you very much. Okay, one last chance. Anyone wishing to speak? Okay, seeing nobody jumping up, we'll move on. We'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one motion unless a member of the city council requests a separate discussion. John Ebner wants a short report on item CC3, Charter Oaks Space Rent Assistance Program. Lily?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'll make this short. The item before you is the approval of update and revisions to the Charter Oak Mobile Home Estates Space Rent Assistance Program. So the Charter Oak Mobile Home Estates the Charter Oak Mobile Home Estates Space Rent Assistance Program helps low-income residents who reside at Charter Oak with a monthly space rent credit. The very low-income residents at 50% or below AMI receive a $90 monthly space rent credit, and low-income residents at 51 to 80% AMI receive a $75 monthly space rent credit. On October 1st, 2023, the residents of Charter Oak Mobile Home Estates received a 90-day notice of a 3.3 space rent increase effective January 1st, 2024. This is in accordance with the San Dimas Mobile Home Accord. The last time a rent increase was imposed on the residents at Charter Oak was August 1st, 2021, in the amount of 2%. The 3.3% increase will be effective January 1st, 2024. The increase averages out to $23.48 monthly per unit. So staff recognizes that this increase may cause an extreme hardship for the residents and is proposing to increase the space rent credit for participants in the program by $25. So if approved, the increase will increase the space rent credit for low-income residents from $75 to $100 monthly credit, and for very low-income residents from $90 to $115. I think that's about it. So if staff recommends that the Housing Authority consider and approve the following: approve and update the revisions proposed in the Charter Oak Mobile Home Estates, and authorize the executive director or his designee to approve revisions to the program guidelines. That's it. Questions?
Well, thanks a lot for providing that report, Lily. I thought this was good news that the public would be interested in. After all, the folks that we're helping are low income, as you said, and the increase in their rent really affects their ability to buy other things. And I want to give a shout out. I think Lily's actually to credit for increasing the number of people that are on this program. I'm seeing that in the staff report there were 26 in 2022 in June. You started around that time, or I can't remember exactly when, but now there are 41 people on it. And you know, I happened to be out at the mobile home park on Friday, and was just walking through the park with Tony Aguilar, who's the chair of the residents committee, and we were looking at a bunch of things. And there's been so many things the city has been doing over at the park, and he was showing me the laundry room, the exercise room. We're going to be doing that wall. We've got the dog park. Saw somebody enjoying the dog park while we were there. And he was just mentioning how the outreach with flyers in the tubes about that program has really brought a lot of people into the program. And so I just want to thank you and the housing staff. I know you have right-hand man with Derek, and I'm not sure who else is helping.
Paige is with us now.
And Paige is with you now, right. And and the lift program, there's, I don't know how many lifts we put in there. It seems like about 3 or 4, so those are all fantastic for those who need them. So thanks a lot for providing that report.
Sure.
And thanks, I just wanted to say how much we appreciate the work you're doing with these residents over in the Charter Oak Mobile Home Park.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lily.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to read oral communications, because that means we're nearing the end of the meeting. Okay. Members of the audience, speakers are limited to 3 minutes, or as may be determined by the chair. Anyone wishing to speak to the council at this time? I see nobody. I see a lot of people shaking their head no, but it's kind of unusual to have this short a meeting, but where there are some things that are coming up that we need to discuss at a later time here. We'll go on into city reports. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I know the council members gave their gratitude to Licata for the work that they're doing. When we did the community survey earlier this year, we got really high scores for the services that we were providing, but there were 2 areas for which the public was requesting we do a better job. One was more restaurants, and the other one was more focus on tackling the homeless problem in our community. Licata was already servicing our community for 1 day a week, and we made the strategic decision based on that survey to increase the number of days by an extra 3 days for a 5-year period, funded by the Housing Authority, to be able to bring a group with this level of expertise and flexibility that could work with individuals that also had high barriers that included mental health, drugs, and alcohol. And I think the results that we've seen are pretty successful. We also took the step of hiring a housing services coordinator, Ms. Sandra Chacon, who has already started in the city, whose expertise is a deep expertise in mental health, working for the Department of Mental Health at the county. And as we know, when we look at the type of services that are in high demand, mental health services is one of those that is critical. And so I think what you're seeing is we've now fully staffed and focused on working the problem. We're compassionate. We're trying to get folks back home. We're trying to provide them the services that they may not be able to provide for themselves, with the goal of getting folks off the street and helping them lead productive lives. And I think the results show for themselves, especially with the example that we just saw yesterday. The individual they were talking about had an incredible ability to walk. And so I constantly was seeing him walk all over our community, was very respectful, was respectful of not impacting others. And so to see that we identified, got him to be able to open up and identify that my home is San Diego and I've not been able to get back there, and give us the opportunity to take him back home, is an absolute incredible feeling and the type of success that I hope we can do every week. Last week, we also celebrated the Great Shakeout. Cities all across the region prepared their emergency operations to service in the case of a disaster. San Dimas had a full-scale tabletop exercise, simulated earthquake drill and evacuation of City Hall, and integrated the community emergency response team in assisting in searching the building and educating staff on what to look for, where to go, what to watch out for through the city. And then we spent 2 hours walking through a scenario that was very aptly put together by our public information officer, Ms. Anissa Livas, who also serves as our emergency coordinator, and identifying ways to improve how we respond in the course of an emergency. And it's nice to see that with the more practice and the more focused effort on emergency services, we're better prepared to be able to tackle the challenges that we really hope never come to fruition in our community, and that is a disaster, whether it be an earthquake, flood, famine, or fire and derailment that may occur in our community. The spectacular event we've discussed, it was a resounding success. 4,000 individuals is a large number, has grown over the time that this program has been in service. And I can't thank enough the work that our staff has performed. It seems almost every other meeting I could appreciate the work that staff are doing, where they exercise flawless service in the service that we provide. And many of our residents are not just only extremely happy, but so are residents of the entire region who come to San Dimas specifically for the events that we have. So thank you to our staff for the hard work they performed during that event. And lastly, it never is a good thing to lose a very high-quality employee, but there is no higher praise when an employee is able to take what they learn in the successes here and move on to a bigger, grander, and bigger community. We are going to be losing our community development director, Mr. Henry No, who was sniped by another city slightly larger than us, the city of Ontario, California, that has a dramatic amount of development that's occurring and offers an incredible opportunity for somebody with the abilities that Henry has. And so we wish him well as he moves forward in that effort, and he will be a significant loss to the team that we have, a senior team that hasn't had somebody leave in the 3 years that I had been there. But I welcome employees that can move on and take their skills and do more in another community. And in keeping with trying to develop our internal staff, we've been trying really hard to provide training, skills, ability, and mentorship for our folks to be able to step up and take the next step. So I've made the decision, and he has accepted, to make our current planning manager, Mr. Luis Tarico, the acting community development director, as we engage in a competitive recruitment. And we could see great things with his steady leadership and ability to listen and understand and take in what the needs are of the council and the community and how we execute the community development vision. And so with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Any questions? Chris, could you take a very brief time to explain to us and the folks out you said we just hired Sandra, a new housing manager. Could you explain the difference between her job and that of Lily Flores?
Yes, so she is the housing services coordinator who works underneath the housing manager. So the housing manager, Ms. Lily Flores, manages the entire housing functions. It oversees Charter Oaks mobile home estates. It oversees Monte Vista apartments, and then also oversees all the homeless services and other quality of life activities that we put under the housing authority. Underneath Lily is Ms. Chacon, who will be specifically focused on services that are targeting those who are unhoused and near unhoused, leveraging the services that are provided through the county and other partners. And so we needed somebody that was dedicated to taking advantage of the money, activity, and opportunities that exist out there, while not detracting from the ability to manage the entire housing function, which Lily currently performs. I think what many cities do when you look at opportunities for money and activities, we forego applying for grants, we forego knowing the kinds of different services that may be out there because we're focused very much so in trying to do the day-to-day operations. And so that addition of Ms. Chacon allows us to take advantage of county money and other money that is out there for our seniors that might be at our mobile home park or Monte Vista, seniors in our community, and also those who are unhoused or near unhoused.
Thank you. Any further questions of Chris? Okay, well, Mr. City Attorney?
I have nothing to report tonight, Mayor.
Okay, members of the City Council, council members reporting on meetings attended at the expense of the local agency pursuant to AB 1234, GC 53232.3D. I'm trying to make this meeting last a little longer. Anyone? Seeing none, we'll move on to City Council requests for future items. Please hurry up. No. Comments and updates. Mr. Nakano?
No requests for future items. I just want to extend my gratitude and thanks to Mr. No. Thank you for your service. We wish you well. We're very excited as you embark on this new chapter in your career. We hope that you don't forget about us here in our city. Perhaps we'll see you in one of our restaurants or around downtown from time to time, and we hope you visit. So congratulations again. All of us are very happy for you and wish you well in this new chapter. I also want to thank the city staff for their excellent work on Spooktacular. I was out of town at the time, but 4,000 people visiting our town is quite a bit. And so congratulations again on organizing a successful event, and we look forward to another one next year. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Weber?
I've got nothing to report other than congratulations, Henry. We're going to miss you. I'm sure you're going to do just as well there as you've done here, and you will definitely be a loss to the city of San Dimas. But as Eric was saying, I'm sure we'll see you around town still. And then also, I was out of town as well for the Spooktacular, but my kids made it there, and they had a blast, and they reported the same resounding turnout as well. So thank you to all the city staff that put that together. It was a good event from what I heard. That's it.
Thank you. John?
Henry, thanks a lot for the job you've done here. Yeah, I think you've managed the staff really well and made a lot of progress. There's a bunch of things that I guess they're just going to glide over the finish line now because you got them in that kind of motion, and it's just going to. But yeah, a lot of good things have happened under you. So, and I appreciate working with you and talking with you. So thanks very much for that. I do have a couple things. Spooktacular was spectacular. The staff was saying early on that how we got that line all set now. It's the Disneyland method. We're just going back and forth like this. And that's how it was at the start. But then when I was leaving, we're trying to leave after a little while, it was out to Glacia, and then it went farther down the street all the way to 2nd Street. So it was a great event. I know that a bunch of people were here. Marjorie Green was here dressed up as a skeleton or something. But yeah, a lot of candy was given out, and the kids were all very patient, and even the parents were patient in those lines. So that was great. I do want to mention a couple other things that are coming up. There's the downtown merchants. Every year they do a trick-or-treat, and that's happening this Saturday, the 28th. I think it's all day, and the flyer says you got to be under 12 and in a costume, and you go from business to business and get candy. So that'll be neat. And then on Veterans Day is that Saturday, the 11th of November, of course. There is an event over on Freedom Park, and that starts at 4 o'clock. That's just about an hour long, but it's always worthwhile to go to that. Let me see here. What else do I have? Had a couple things to bring up. One was I wanted to remind people, we're actually not going to have a city council meeting for 3 weeks, so the filing period for the upcoming election for city candidates who want to run in the March election will open on November 13th. So that's before our next meeting. And I do want to just make, as a reminder, I represent District 3. I'm not running again. That means there's an opening, so the filing period starts November 13th. There are two other things. This one's brief, but I thought I was interested and pleased, actually, and I'm going to show my fellow city council members this at first. I tried to make it as big as possible, and I'll tell you what it is, but this is, and I'm going to hold it up for the camera because I think he's going to try to zoom in for our audience. This is cursive writing, and this is actually a little tiny excerpt from the U.S. Constitution. And a bill went through Sacramento this year, and Governor Newsom just signed it last week, requiring, again, that cursive writing be taught in grammar school from grades 1 through 6. And it was carried by this woman out of Orange County, I think, who is also a teacher, as I understand the story, and she was concerned that her students couldn't read cursive writing. And so this is going to, I'm happy about this. People are going to learn how to handwrite again. And it'll be a good thing for all of our young people, especially people who want to be governor or president, because you got to sign a lot of bills. You got to know how to write. So thanks for that, or that's interesting anyway. The other thing I was going to mention was just, I know Ryan's been waiting for me to talk about trees, so I'm just going to talk about trees a little bit. You might know that I'm the representative to the Council of Governments, and there's a subcommittee, Environmental, Energy, Natural Resources, and I'm on that committee. So we had a presentation at this month's meeting from, it was actually Azusa, but they had gotten a grant from the USDA's Urban Forestry Grant Program, and that Inflation Reduction Act, which is a ton of money, that was passed a year or so ago, included $1 billion throughout the country for community tree canopy enlargement or planting trees. And one of the main goals is to increase the tree canopy, and the funds could be used to plant trees, water them, and maintain them over the long haul. Now, the deadline was in August. We didn't get any money out of this. I don't think we applied. So all the money's gone for this. But I just wanted to bring it up because and I think one of the things is that the program talked about underserved communities. And we might have gotten the wrong impression about that because some of the cities in California that got grants were Laguna Beach, Glendale, Santa Cruz, Walnut Creek. I mean, I went online, Laguna Beach's median house price is $2.5 million. So I think they're ahead of us on that. Petaluma was another one, $1 million. Goleta, Glendale's 1.1. So my point is we should keep our eyes open for these kind of things. those cities all got from $100,000 to $1 million each for their tree programs. Now, why do I bring up trees? This is what I'm going to finish with. So to quote from the webpage for that grant program, the USDA starts out with this statement: trees make a difference. Studies show that communities with access to trees and green spaces are associated with improved health outcomes, reduced crime, lower average temperatures, and an influx of other kinds of investments and new economic opportunities. And on that note, thank you.
Thank you, John. Ryan, rebuttal.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'll say congratulations, Henry. I'm very happy for you. Brad and Chris don't want to ask you, but they've requested that you leave your gym equipment behind and your bench. So feel free to do so if you'd like, for everyone's wellness. But I am very happy for you. I thank you for all your work you did here. I know we had many conversations about downtown and things like that, and you got a lot of stuff done in the time you were here. So thank you for that, and we'll continue to press on, but I'm confident I will be seeing you around. So congratulations again. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. On the 16th, on Monday, I had the opportunity to participate in a golf tournament at the San Dimas Canyon Country Club, or golf course. And that's a public course, and I just wanted to remind people that you have access to that beautiful course up there. And so it is a wonderful golf course. If you haven't had a chance to get up there, you might. Every time I've been there, I've ran into deer. Well, not literally ran into them, but I mean, you see deer, and sometimes they're messing up the holes, to be totally honest with you. But nevertheless, there are a bunch of deer, and it is very nice. So I encourage people to go up and check out our golf course. It's a great amenity in the community. And we also have a golf course advisory committee that meets every once in a while. So if you had any feedback for the golf course, or one thing that was brought to my attention was the lack of ball cleaners, I guess, or golf ball cleaners, if you will, not on every hole. And so I know at the next meeting I will probably bring that up. But the good news is I think very soon we should get our clubhouse back opened, and we should be ready to go for events. So I very much look forward to that. Congratulations to the city on the Spooktacular event. I found out about it a little bit late in the game, but left the USC game to hurry back here and got here around 8:30, and was able to see there was still a line at the Plummer Building, and I bumped into Commissioner Rodriguez out there in the event, and saw Margie and many others. And so I thank everybody that came out and participated. I thank the Sheriff's Department and all the volunteers that were out there as well. And Deputy Jensen, I think, did a great job with his outfit, his costume, and he very much got in the Halloween spirit. So I appreciate their participation, and I think, as we continue to build on the events in the community, the feedback is just always getting better and better and better. And so good job to Parks and Recreation, good job, Chris, and keep leading the way with that. In the near future, we're going to have a couple of things coming up. Obviously, Halloween's coming up next week, so please ensure that you are looking at either the Sheriff's Department or the Fire Department's websites for public safety announcements related to Halloween and Halloween activities. Be mindful of candy, accepting candy from strangers. It sounds kind of funny saying that when everybody goes to people's doors you may not know, but be smart about what you're doing and monitor and inspect the candy that your kids receive, and be responsible. Also, coming up before the next council meeting is going to be Veterans Day. And so I will just remind everyone, the San Dimas Heroes Organization on November 11th at 4 p.m. will be hosting the annual Veterans Day event that is put on honoring the veterans that have served this community. That's done at Freedom Park at the intersection of San Dimas Avenue and Commercial Street. So please do join us there, and look forward to seeing so many folks there as we do every year. Lastly, I'll just apologize. I literally got held up at work late, changed out of uniform, and came straight here. So I am a little casual than usual, and this meeting ran a little longer than expected. But nevertheless, I apologize for that. But again, happy to be here and continue to serve everybody. So thank you so much, and that's all I have. Thank you. Have a good week.
Thank you. I too want to thank the staff and everyone that was involved in the spooktacular. It was a great event, and many people have called and talked and ran into me and said, hey, when we can have another one? And I said, well, I think Halloween's just a few days away, but I think the spooktacular is going to be a year from now. So that was it. But, we not only losing Henry No, but we also lost another longtime employee from Public Works. Rhonda, I'm going to screw this up. I'm sorry, Rhonda. Abangan. She was Public Works for a period of time. Then she left us for where she's going back to. But she came back and stayed 13 years. And she too was, someone reached out to her and offered her an opportunity for advancement. And she will be missed. I mean, she was a part of a team that's pretty well oiled. And Sherry, good luck in filling your spot. But she's a good person, and you could tell that she was touched by the amount of people who showed up to say goodbye to her. So I too. You've talked about what's going on Veterans Day at the Heroes Monument, but I implore you, come out, because it's going to be a good event. We're actually going to have an opportunity, along with the heroes, to actually wish a happy birthday to a person who's turning 100 years old. We don't get many of those at these type of events, and I think I would hope the entire council can make it to say happy birthday and to sing happy birthday. Mr. Weber's probably going to start the song. And I think everybody knows about Mr. Weber's voice. So, so at this time, we are going to be going into a closed session to discuss two items on the agenda, which is a conference with labor negotiators and conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. Anything else, Mr. City Attorney? Thank you. Motion to adjourn? Good night.